Welcome to the very first Q&A episode with Dummies at Sea. In this episode, we're going to answer questions directly from our patrons and viewers. Y'all enjoy. Hey guys, so last month we ran a contest and anyone who commented on any one of our YouTube videos got one entry into this drawing. So I'm going to draw now. And the winner is, dun dun dun, Lillian E. Yay! So Lillian, your prize is this fabulous Bubba Gump's cup, cocktail glass. And we will go ahead and get into contact with you and mail it your way. Thanks to all of you guys that commented on our videos. We really appreciate it and all the support. Hey guys, welcome to our Q&A episode. Patrick's going to read off some questions that you guys have asked, and I'm going to answer them.
So our first question is from Betty Z. How did the boat idea come up?
Well, we just wanted to downsize, and for a while we looked at getting a prefabbed cabin, but after all the expenses that were going to have to go into that, such as the buying of land and the cabin and everything, it was going to totally cap us out. So.
And we also weren't going to be able to travel if we did that idea. So one of the things that brought us from the cabin idea to the boat idea was that I was watching Firefly, which is a sci-fi show, and the beginning intro song, is like, "You can't take the sky from me." And I know we don't have personal spacecraft right now, but being the captain of a ship, something about it, just that feeling of freedom was kind of just kicked the idea in my head. We talked about it and it worked out. Let's see, our next question is Scott G. Does pride ever get in the way of asking others, such as friends and family, to support you living the dream?
No, it's our job to fund our lifestyle. So we have jobs that we do on land that pay all of our bills. We don't monetize any of our YouTube videos, and we don't restrict any Patreon content. So if people just find value in our videos and they want to donate to support the content, then that's totally up to y'all.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Like, none of our YouTube videos are monetized or have ads, and all of our Patreon content is available 100% free. Some Patreon channels will restrict content. They only give you half of what's available, and you can't see their other videos until you become a donor, which we feel like that's making people buy something. We're not trying to do that. If you really break down how much we make, as far as we've spent a lot of money on video equipment, editing equipment, and software, and the time we put into shooting hours of footage and hours of editing. We actually calculated it, and currently I think we make 3 cents an hour or something off of our Patreon videos. So we're not doing this to get rich. If we wanted to do that, we would have kept the trucking company. All of the money from Patreon, which right now we're at $6 a video, I believe, goes to supporting making more content for Dummies at Sea. So, and we're also doing one other thing I want to cover. We're also doing this for others, so people who might be interested in getting into this lifestyle but a little nervous about it. We're doing this for them to kind of give them some information about it, and then we're also doing it for ourselves. When we're old farts and we want to look back on all this fun stuff we did when we were young, now we have it's all documented. So let's move to this next question. Here is Robert L. Are you continuing to work on land? How will you afford to travel?
We are continuing to work on land. I work at Cracker Barrel part-time.
Alicia, just getting off work at her first day.
And Patrick does mobile mechanic work, and he also runs a taco route on Saturdays.
So we're doing a brake job here. Take a look, babe. Basically what happened is the outboard pad ran out and went metal to metal. Well, the inboard pad had already been metal to metal for a while, and the backing plate actually ground away. So this is the outboard pad. There is no inboard pad. It's been ground away completely, and eventually the rotor here made contact with the brake caliper piston, and that caused the piston to pop out, which all the fluid spilled out after that. And so that's what we're getting fixed today, and make a little money. Grabbing the tools from Wally here. About to get started on some work. What we're doing is we're putting a new battery and wiring up a new automatic charger for this gentleman's jet ski. So, and we might buff and wax it too, and do a couple other things. He's a real nice guy named Sammy. Beautiful home, right here on Clear Lake. So yeah, just getting the tools, and then we'll get started. Get to work. So that's what we were working on today. It's a supercharged Yamaha. Yeah, so we'll be able to afford to travel, you know, with that money. We also have some savings, you know, that we're using in an investment fund for money from selling the house and all of our other possessions, and that generates a little bit of money every month. So that's kind of how we continue to afford our lifestyle, and how we will be able to afford to travel later. So the next question is from Terry R, and that's, where will you go when the boat wears out and you have no equity?
Well, the boat's always going to have some sort of equity in it, unless it's at the bottom of the deep blue sea, which we do a really good job at maintaining the boat, especially Patrick. You know, making sure the bilges are pumped out and everything. So, and just taking care of it overall. So it's always going to have some sort of equity. And as far as where we'll go, like, we'll always, you know, unless we decide to sell this boat and upgrade to another boat, you know, we might do that one day, but we'll never go back to living a traditional landlubber lifestyle. You know, we may, you know, get another boat, like I said, or an RV or something, but we'll never go back to traditional life.
And another thing is, when it comes time to sell this boat, I mean, we have no plans to right now, but if it does come time to sell this boat, you know, there'll be a few things to consider. The market value of the boat at the time, the condition of the boat, you know, repairs and upgrades we have done. Sometimes you don't always get all of that money back, but that does improve the condition of the boat. And then desirability of this boat. Maybe people are into diesel trawlers. You know, the Great Loop becomes super popular or something, and maybe a bunch of people want these boats. And so all of that will affect what value we can get, what equity we have in the boat when it does come time to sell it. And, you know, it is our home right now. It is paid off. And so those are a couple good things. So I feel like that about covered that. Our next question is Sheldon R. Will you just be living aboard, or will you do some cruising as well?
Well, for now, we are just living aboard as we repair and refit the boat. Eventually, though, we plan to go to the Keys, the Florida Keys, and to the Bahamas. So, eventually.
And Sheldon also, it was kind of a two-part question. He also said, why did you choose a trawler? And the main reason was just because I have experience with auto mechanics and diesel engines. We didn't know sailing as much. Trawlers have more livable room per foot than sailboats. Most monohull sailboats, at least, the ones that I've been on. So, you know, this is a 34-foot trawler. It's got as much livable room as some of the 44-foot sailboats I've seen. And so it was more up our alley. For what we wanted to do. We don't plan on doing any ocean crossings, just like island hopping or coastal cruising or stuff like that. Okay, our next question is from Patricia W, and that's, how difficult is it to prepare meals with limited space?
Sometimes it can be a little bit of a challenge. Whenever we want to cook anything stovetop, we've got to move the counter and it lays out over the sink. So we can't use the stove and the sink at the same time. And if we do want to, then we're sacrificing more counter space. So
we try to stick to 1 and 2 pan meals, stuff like that. Stir fry or like breakfast tacos is an easy one. I can mix everything up in one there, and different stuff like that. The next question is Nicole L. Are you going to grow your own food?
Yes. Whenever we live out on the Anchor, we plan to have like a little hanging garden on our flybridge. So that'll be fun to be able to grow like green onions and jalapenos, stuff like that.
Yeah, we had seen this idea from one of the very awesome Facebook groups that we're part of, many of these liveaboard groups and boating groups, and that's what it's all about, really, information and getting these ideas from other people. And so we'll make sure to cover all that and do an episode on that hanging garden when we do that. And that'll probably be when we live out on the Anchor. We're trying to turn this thing into a little self-sustaining island, so we will do solar panels and the hanging garden, and we'll fish a lot and just do all that kind of stuff. So I've already been fishing a lot.
Yeah, I've been fishing like a couple times. It's fun.
So our next question is from Neil M, and that's, what safety equipment other than standard life jackets do you keep aboard? And so I put together this little clip of some other safety equipment we have, so y'all check that out. Bilge pumps, carbon monoxide detector, fire extinguisher, fire extinguisher, fire extinguisher, high water alarm, fire extinguisher, VHF radio, flare gun,
High-powered spotlight, LED lights surrounding the side of the boat, VHF radio, navigation with chart plotter that includes radar,
abandoned ship bag, which contains
toilet paper, more toilet paper, flares. This contains a stove, which we could use for boiling water or cooking food, spare glasses, extra radio, spare clothes for me and Patrick, first aid kit, survival food, more survival food, Spam pack, more survival food, more survival food. Always want to be prepared. Survival tabs, nutrition tablets, more Spam, water filter and water purification tablets, poop bags, and some soy sauce, and a pocket knife. That's it.
the ever important GPS rescue locator. And Spot's got some really amazing stories. We have never had to use their product, thankfully, but we are pretty firm believers in it. So hopefully, if we did have to use it, it would be there for us. Our last question is from Joshua L, and that's, can you explain more about the dinghy buying process, such as prices, styles, brands, and if possible, an interview with another owner?
Josh, check out this little video we composed of the dinghy buying process, and then we'll take a video that will be posted later of an interview with a bunch of other dinghy owners.
Dinghy owners, yes, a bunch of other ones, so that we just don't have time in this video, but we'll put that together for you later, Josh, and just check this out and see if this can answer some of your questions now. Okay, this is for Joshua L, and we're here in West Marine looking over. This is the dinghy that we ended up buying. It's 8.5 foot inflatable, and it's a soft bottom, so it just has those slats. So if you deflate it, it can be rolled up. You take the seat off. We leave the seat off ours for more room anyways, but it's pretty much the smallest one they sell here, and it does not have a hard bottom. If you can see, this one's actually got a hard bottom all the way through, which, you know, pros and cons to that. So this one, of course, can't be rolled up, but it's definitely going to be more durable, and so that's something you want to think about. As far as engines, so you've got your gasoline powered engines, and you can see, I know Joshua, you were asking about prices. So there's the 2.5 horsepower at $900. They go up 3.5, 4, 6, 8, 9, all the way. Let's go. 20 horsepower is $3,000. So I know you were asking about different price ranges, and that's on gasoline engines. Now, we didn't go with a gasoline engine. We went with one of these Lear 4-stroke outboard propane engines. We actually got them to take another 5% off by taking the display model, which is why it's missing here. I can't believe they don't have another display model, as it was a couple months ago. But here is the price on these at 2.5 horsepower. And then again, it goes 5, 9, you get up to the higher horsepower ones. Okay, about 26 to 3,300. Okay, so you can see that it's slightly more expensive. If we spent whatever, $150, $160 more for the same horsepower. But the reason we went with the propane was looks like they've got a sale on them right now. Is because few things, we didn't want to have to store gasoline. It's cleaner. It's not a marine pollutant. It's easier to change out. You don't have to worry about spills and stuff like that. And we already use it, the tanks, for our grill, for our oven, for our stove. It's all on the boat already. So now let's go over to the other option here, which is electric. And these are becoming more popular. The motors are super small and lightweight, but the battery bank is heavy. And like with the gasoline engine, you've got to store that gas fuel tank somewhere, and that takes up space in the boat. Whereas the propane one is just a little tank on the back. We don't even use one of those big tanks. We use the little tank, and it's sitting on top of the engine. Takes up no room inside the boat, so you don't lose any cargo room. So, and with these, you start getting really pricey. Okay, so here's what would be a 3 horsepower equivalent, they call it. So very similar to the 2.5 that we showed over there. And you can already see it's double the price. And this one comes with the battery bank, but then when you get into these bigger ones, this is the 6 horsepower equivalent. That's not even with the battery bank. And here's the 10 horsepower, 9.9, 10 horsepower equivalent. Wave, whoosh. So there's your different options: gasoline, propane, electric on the engines. Horsepowers ranging from about 2.5 all the way to up to 20. Boat, we got a small one, 8.5 foot, but if you do see, you can get some of these big ones, much larger, and also with rigid bottoms. And here I'll give you some idea of the price. Okay, so you get an idea. Now ours is not listed on here. Ours was none of these prices. Ours was priced at I think 900, I want to say. So there you go, Josh. Hope that answered some of your questions. Here you go, Josh. This one's actually ours. The roll up. And let me give you a price range here.
Thanks for all your questions, guys. Be on the lookout for episode 6 that will cover more repair and refit on our fabulous marine trader. Bye.
Say bye, Bella.